Katy Perry jumped out of the aircraft and kissed the ground in a painfully cringe moment that has been roasted online.
Look at us, we're very wealthy. Don't we look great? Admire us.
But if Katy Perry started singing and I was trapped in the vacuum of space, you better believe I'd find a way to end it.
I'm much better now that the ladies are back from space.
What were they up there, 10 minutes?
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it.
I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this.
We're talking about it. We got girl bosses in space, and it's a tremendous accomplishment.
I'm so embarrassed to be a woman right now.
To going up, you said that you needed to go to space to heal. I know you're only a few minutes removed from this.
I feel super connected to love.
And you know it's bad when other celebrities come out and mock you. Like that celebrity on celebrity violence almost never happens. But we're witnessing it right now.
I thought it'd be fun to go through the 5 cringiest Katy Perry in space moments.
Welcome back to Gossip with Gabby. Joe Rogan set the tone immediately by ripping apart what many called the most cringeworthy part of the event, Katy Perry kissing the ground after landing. To him, it was pure theater. He compared the flight to a roller coaster, pre-programmed, fully automated, and over in minutes, and slammed the idea that anyone should be treating it as historic.
So it was cool. They took a very, very expensive, very, very cool roller coaster ride.
Rogan's sarcasm landed hard because it voiced what so many were already thinking. This wasn't space exploration, it was space tourism with a celebrity filter.
The accomplishment of Blue Origin is that Katy Perry went to space. You see the difference? Do you understand the difference here? The accomplishment is not that, it is not in the hands of these women. These women did nothing. Truly, they could not have possibly done less for this 11-minute voyage.
Journey, and more like a branding opportunity wrapped in cosmic buzzwords. Instead of celebrating progress, Perry came off like she just completed a yoga retreat in zero gravity.
I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space.
What truly pushed this spectacle into mockery territory wasn't just the behavior of the space crew, it was the way the media lost its collective mind over it.
Spent no more than 4 minutes of intense pleasure up there, came back and talked about how much in love she was with it, how amazing it all was, and she's talking as if she's Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin, you know, landing on the moon, first people planting a flag. She was in space for 4 minutes. She's got longer songs than that.
Outlets ran headlines framing the trip as a historic milestone for women, borrowing language from actual space missions. Oprah reportedly cried watching the launch. TV hosts spoke in reverent tones. The phrases "one small step for womankind" and "empowerment in orbit" were thrown around like confetti.
That was one small step for womankind, one giant leap backwards for mankind.
It didn't matter that this was an 11-minute, fully remote-controlled flight. The narrative had already been decided. But viewers weren't convinced. Instead of feeling inspired, they felt manipulated. Social media users quickly caught on to the fact that the event was more performance than progress. Joe Rogan's critique was part of a growing chorus calling out how absurd it was to label a luxury ride as groundbreaking.
It's so much money to go to space. Yeah. There's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. What are they going to do up there that has made it better for us down here?
The disconnect between the coverage and reality created a backlash that the crew didn't see coming. The more the media tried to sell the trip as an empowering moment, the more people rolled their eyes. The real issue wasn't women in space. It was pretending that this was anything like that.
Let's check the tape, shall we? Here's what happened up in space.
Take up space!
Really, it's just a series of massive L's, and it's been backfiring spectacularly. Look at this. Look at these outfits. You look like you're going scuba diving on a Disney cruise in like 3 feet. This isn't a moment for feminism. That's a dick rocket that was designed, flown, and paid for by men, and you are simply luggage, baggage on that rocket. That's all it is.
One of the clearest signs this mission had gone off the rails came when even fellow celebrities started mocking it. Olivia Wilde reposted Katy Perry's dramatic kiss the ground video with what felt like a subtle jab. Amy Schumer joked that she had been added to the crew at the last minute, as if it were a group chat meetup instead of a space flight. And Martha Stewart pulled off perhaps the most savage shade of all by posting her own old zero-gravity footage with a sly nod to Perry's lyrics.
And this right here is the moment that they've been training for. 2 days, becoming a crew, becoming a team.
But the training, it all comes down to, literally, they learned how to buckle their seatbelts. And I asked my team to poll, like, what did they do during their 2 days? Their tasks, they spent the past 2 days practicing how to get into and out of the New Shepard capsule.
This wasn't typical celebrity behavior. Usually, there's an unspoken code: support each other, avoid public criticism. But this time, the pageantry was too much, even for Hollywood. The tone-deaf nature of the event, combined with the overacting, spiritual quotes and designer spaceware, turned the whole thing into a parody.
Had I been one of the chosen few revolutionary women, I probably would have just jumped out and let the void of space either suck me in and destroy me, or just begun my descent to Earth at terminal velocity and probably caught fire on the way down. You know, either way, there are many options.
The reason that Katy Perry is not technically an astronaut right now is because none of the people in this capsule could actually operate anything. It was all being remotely controlled.
These weren't women boldly going where no one had gone before. They were influencers playing astronaut. The fact that even their peers began distancing themselves from the mission said everything. Perhaps no moment better illustrated the disconnect between perception and reality than when Gail King threw a mini meltdown over the word ride. In a now viral clip, she scolded anyone who dared call the experience a ride, insisting instead that it was a journey. But the internet wasn't having it.
Please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes out, no one called that a ride. It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous or something that's lighthearted. There was nothing frivolous about what we did. What it's doing to inspire other women and young girls, please don't ignore that.
Critics pointed out that it was a ride, one that was remotely piloted, fully pre-programmed, and lasted barely more than 10 minutes. Joe Rogan and others had a field day with it. Gail's insistence on being seen as a hero rather than a participant in a billionaire-funded PR stunt only fueled the backlash. Instead of leaning into humility, she chose indignation, and that made things worse. The phrase, "don't call it a ride," became the internet's favorite new punchline. It symbolized everything wrong with the mission: a desperate need for validation, a refusal to acknowledge privilege, and a complete detachment from how it all looked to the average viewer.
In case you didn't know, Alan Shepard is famous because he was the first American to go to space in 1961. So we don't celebrate the people who do it as on a tourist trip 60 years later. We celebrate the people who were the first to do it. Gail doesn't want us to say that she took a ride, but that is in fact what she did. She took a ride on a remotely piloted craft.
6 women just did the same flight that...
Yeah.
He didn't.
Oh, I just want to keep hugging you.
One of the most quoted lines from the post-flight interviews came from Katy Perry herself. "We weren't just taking up space, we were making space." She said it while holding a flower, near tears, speaking about love and unity. And in that moment, the internet collectively face-palmed. Because if making space means holding a daisy in zero gravity for Instagram, then the bar for heroism has hit an all-time low. The public didn't buy the message. Critics online pointed out that there was no training, no piloting, and no risk involved. These weren't astronauts, they were passengers. The seats were handed out based on celebrity and proximity to Jeff Bezos, not merit. The whole thing reeked of elitism disguised as empowerment. Joe Rogan nailed it when he called the flight a vanity project. While real women in STEM fields work behind the scenes to push the boundaries of science, these celebrities were busy turning a quick photo op into a life-changing sermon. The line between inspiration and self-obsession had been crossed, and the public noticed.
And enjoy this word salad.
Swing for the stars. I'm really excited about the engineering of it all. I'm excited to learn more about STEM and just the math about what it takes. to accomplish this type of thing.
After all the speeches, Instagram posts, and defensive interviews, one uncomfortable question hung in the air. What even qualifies as an astronaut anymore? Is it still someone who undergoes years of training, learns complex systems, and risks their life for the sake of scientific discovery? Or has the definition now changed to someone who can afford a ticket and post a selfie from space? The public saw through the charade, and they were not amused. The video hammers home the idea that this mission didn't elevate women, it cheapened space travel. Every time someone called the crew trailblazers, the response online was swift and sarcastic. They weren't blazing any trail, they were riding shotgun on a billionaire's pet project. And for many viewers, that wasn't just disappointing, it was insulting. Real astronauts, women and men, don't get media fanfare for doing the hard work. But Perry, King, and the rest of the crew were treated like pioneers for floating for a few minutes. In the end, this flight will be remembered for all the wrong reasons. It wasn't the first all-female crew. It didn't break any records. It didn't lead to any new scientific insight. What it did do was expose the growing gap between celebrity narratives and public perception. The mission, which started as a feel-good empowerment story, turned into a full-blown cultural joke, and the internet didn't miss a beat. Joe Rogan's commentary captured the frustration many felt. This wasn't progress. It was posturing. The legacy of this trip isn't about space. It's about branding gone too far and how quickly audiences turn when they feel talked down to. It's a reminder that visibility doesn't equal value, and that when you try too hard to manufacture a moment, you just might end up making a meme instead.